The Russian authorities' greatest fear is Putin's death, after which chaos awaits Russia. And right now, the biggest problem for the Kremlin is the SBU drone strikes on their oil refineries. Ukrainian political scientist Alexey Golobutsky writes about this. The expert emphasizes that the intensity and frequency of the service's strikes are increasing. In the last week alone, there have been 3 large-scale attacks on oil refineries. The last one was on the night of January the 28th to the 29th. On the Andreapol oil pumping station, which is an important component of the Baltic Pipeline System-2. The Russians simply do not have enough air defense to cover all the facilities. The drones have a very wide geography, and the sanctions from the SBU will only increase. Golobutsky writes, the political scientist emphasizes that Russia is suffering huge losses from SBU drone strikes. The SBU sanctions are causing huge direct losses. Each strike is worth between $50 and $100 million in oil and equipment. For example, the direct losses from this week's strikes on the oil pumping station in Ryazan are $75 million. But even more important are the indirect losses due to broken contracts, due to broken supply chains. These figures are difficult to calculate accurately, but it is obvious that we are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in losses from each strike, the expert believes. The Kremlin is very persistently trying to create the illusion of a peaceful life for its citizens. But the constantly burning oil refineries cannot be hidden due to the scale of the fires. Even Russian telegram channels are laughing at the latest statements that these are drone debris. SBU drone debris is the most accurate and most explosive debris in the world. Golobutsky sums up. Recall that earlier it became known about strikes on the Andreapol oil pumping station. As a result of the SBU drone attack, the filtration pumping platform and tanks with additives were damaged at the station, an oil spill and a fire occurred. The Russians had to stop the main pipeline through which oil is delivered to the Ust-Luga terminal in the Leningrad region.
Fighters of the 157th Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces have captured 4 soldiers of the invading Russian army. The captives said that they watched the video of the shooting of captured Ukrainian fighters by Russian soldiers on January 23 and were worried about it. The captives asked the Russian army to stop such actions. Noting that the Ukrainian fighters treated them well and did not hurt them, the Russian captives demanded the same treatment towards the Ukrainian captives by Russian soldiers.
Мы хотим обратиться, видео, где расстреляли украинских солдат. Мы хотим обратиться также к военнослужащим и народу Российской Федерации, чтобы не стреляли и не издевались над военнопленными гражданами Украины. Это зверское просто было сделано 23 числа, видео выложено в интернете. Не делайте так больше. Опомнитесь. Опомнитесь, пожалуйста. Что делаете, что творите? Надо остановиться. К нам относятся гуманно и лояльно.
Убейте от себя, это безумие, безумство это. Вы просто занимаетесь безумием и безумством.
Russian troops could continue fighting for another 2 years due to its large stockpile of old Soviet-era equipment. Former Deputy Chief of the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Ihor Romanenko, told in an interview with RBC Ukraine, as of January 2025, the situation on the Ukrainian front lines and Russia's Kherson Oblast remains fluid, with both Kyiv and Moscow troops engaged in intense fighting. This month, Ukraine initiated its second offensive into Kherson, building on the momentum from its earlier operations in August 2024. Meanwhile, Russia continues its multi-pronged offensives across Donetsk, Zaporizhia and Kherson oblasts, while leveraging drone and missile strikes to target Ukrainian infrastructure in the rear. Romanenko explained that Russia possesses a significant amount of Soviet-era military equipment, much of which is being modernized or combined to create operational units. Despite its age, the equipment remains functional. It fires, moves, and is deployed to the front lines. Regarding personnel, technical analysis suggests that Russia will be able to maintain its armed forces for another 4 to 5 years. Romanenko also notes that since last summer, Russia has increased its monthly military personnel supply from 35,000 to 55,000 soldiers. He pointed out that in terms of ammunition, North Korea alone provides 60% of munitions to Russia, having recently delivered over 2.5 million rounds. By comparison, all of Europe has sent only 1 million rounds over the past year and a half. Romanenko emphasized that Europe is moving slowly to restore its defense industry's production capabilities, and at this rate, the situation could become even more perilous. He also highlighted that in 2014 and 2022, if considering conventional non-nuclear military capabilities, the Russian military had a larger combat potential than all European countries combined, excluding the US. Earlier, North Korea deployed civilian trucks modified to conceal rocket launchers to Russia's Kursk Oblast, where combined Russian-North Korean forces are engaged in combat with Ukrainian troops. The disguised launchers represent the latest escalation in North Korea's military support for Russia's war effort, adding to an arsenal that includes anti-tank missiles, howitzers, and rocket systems. These weapons support a North Korean force of 12,000 troops that has already lost 1/3 of its personnel since deploying to Kursk in October.